Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get set for the qualifying for this weekend's races at Pepsi Super Speedway. Last week we were at Coca-Cola Super Speedway. This week we're at the Pepsi Super Speedway. I know, contradiction of terms, brand wars, what have you, doesn't matter. We're getting ready here for the Division 1 qualifying session here. Round 1 of qualifying underway. 10 minutes for these drivers to try and lay down one of the top 10 laps to be able to make their way into round 2 with a shot of starting on the pole position. Well, these drivers are going to get a little bit of a deja vu feeling, I think, from this track in regards to the fact that this track has a couple of similarities to Coca-Cola that we were at last week. It's going to be 3 miles in length. I think this is basically close to the same configuration as Coca-Cola, but it's just a little bit difference in visuals. Kind of like where we were at Talladega earlier on this season, and then we were at Madrid. Or actually, no, we haven't been at Talladega yet. We were at Madrid, and we're going to be going to Talladega. Talladega is actually next week, but the track basically the same, just looks a little bit different. As we're looking at Laurent Lamont and Eli Bright, the 36 and the 12, both coming off pit road together, so they're going to try and get some draft laps happening here, as both of them just now taking the green flag. So either Lamont or Eli Bright will lay down the first official lap time in this qualifying session. 3 miles in length, as I mentioned, 36 degrees of banking in the corners here, 10 degrees of banking on the front and back straightaway. About a mile in length for both of those. And we'll have to see if Pepsi Super Speedway plays into any of the characteristics we saw last week at Coca-Cola Super Speedway. A couple of those characteristics being that, number one, they were going 4 wide, 5 wide, somehow were able to keep it together. We went green the entirety of the Division 2 races. Ooh. Mount trying to get up in front of Eli Bright as they came up on the 85 of Zachary Taylor. No dice. But another thing as well is that higher groove. We saw in the, as the first lap time laid down here, Eli Bright's got the fastest, 58.084. A 1.22 for Lamont. And as speeds begin to pour in here, we ended up having where the higher groove right up against the wall proved to be very detrimental to drivers, and a lot of that was attributed to the high 36 degree banking in the corners, causing the tire heat in the right front to build up and not allowing for a lot of opportunity to be able to get the car to turn when you're up in that high line. A lot of drivers would slide up, get into the wall, got damage as a result. We had a number of drivers finish off the lead lap in the Division 2 race as a result of crash damage, which really was just crash damage between one car and the wall, really not any crash damage with cars making contact with each other. And so we'll have to see in this race. I don't know if we'll really get an idea here in qualifying because things are so spread out. You don't really see drivers risk it going 3, 4, 5 wide right up against the wall in a qualifying session, but it'll be interesting to see in race if anything different along that line will be taking place. We've already got some drivers that are in the 57 lap mark, down in the low 57 lap mark, I should say. Jake Rogers right now top of the board, and as soon as I say that, Benjamin Miles and now Preston Plord. Drivers all of a sudden in the 56s. Plord up top. Trent Dunham, our winner from a couple of weeks ago at Madrid, Pensacola, I should say. He is second. William Duncan there in third. Miles drops to fourth. Benjamin Miles just wants to make it into the top 10. The last 2 weeks at both Pensacola and last week at Coca-Cola, he was looking like he was going to make it into round 2 of qualifying, and at the last minute got eliminated out of the top 10. So Benjamin Miles trying to have it be a chance to get into the top 10 to try and qualify for the pole position. He does not want Lightning to strike 3 times in a row. Focused here on the 36 just on this lap because he's catching up to Cody Smart, Patrick Sitch, Austin LaPlante. This is going to be a pretty good lap time for the 36. provided he doesn't get held up here or kicked up to the high groove. As Miles back top of the leaderboard there with a 56.133, a 138 for Sebastian Kukulon, the pole sitter from last week at Coca-Cola. Ryan Butcher, our winner from Armory, right now situated third. Let's see if Lamount jumps to the top of the leaderboard. Close. Zachary Taylor, who was behind him, actually goes up P1. Lamount goes to second. Both drivers in the 55s. 55.829 for Taylor and 55.872 for Lamount. So setting the precedent there, I think if you get a 55-second lap time, you might have a pretty good shot of getting into the next round of qualifying. A couple other drivers have just made their way into the 55-second bracket. Several from this group. Kyle Matthews up to second. Vance Caldwell, who's leading this group, he's up to fourth. Jose Mills, our winner from last week at Coca-Cola, he's up to fifth. Tail end of this pack, Joshua Sekuli there, the 73, is up in seventh. Brady Burkhart, who comes into this race as the points leader, right now in eighth place. So you've got about 5, I believe, of the 7 drivers in this lead pack currently up inside the top 10 in speeds. We'll see if Shelton or Philip Goldberg can get up there, as they're also in this pack. Let's see if they jump up into the top 10 this lap, and doesn't look like it. James Qualls just jumped up to 5th place. JT Bryant up to 4th. They're in this group up here. Jake Rogers right now clinging to 10th place. He was top of the leaderboard not too long ago. Diego Yepes leading this group. Shane Lake, the caboose in this train. Both of them still trying to get into the top 10. Qualls, a former pole sitter, back from Pigs Creek. And as I look at the point standings coming into this race, this is, I think, maybe for the last couple of weeks, the least amount of battling opportunity that we have for the points lead coming into this one. I mean, going into last week's race at Coca-Cola, at least here for Division 1, I think we had, 4 or 5 drivers that were separated by 8 points. Coming into this one, the big battle is basically going to be between a couple of former winners this season, Brady Burkhart and Trent Dunham. They are separated by 4 points. Then you got to go 12 points back before you get to Cody Smart. Ashlyn Boyd, another pole sitter from this season, just jumped up to the second position, 55.837 with less than 2 minutes remaining. Benjamin Miles leading this group right now in 7th. There's Andrew Miller, the 47. That's the most speed we've seen out of this car all season long, I think. Right now he's in 9th. Eli Bright trying to hang on to that 10th position. And now Miller drops down to 10th, who just moved in, I believe. Oh, it doesn't look like anybody moved in, but I think that someone got a better lap time that was already in the top 10. And now Shelton top of the board, 55.804 for the RBK Chevrolet. That drops Qualls down to the cutoff line. Nobody from this group advances up, but Sebastian Kukulon in this pack just jumped back up into the top 10. Now up to 6th. Roger Ray up to 7th, and those two at the tail end of this group. Trent Dunham here with Zorlin, Derek Hamill, Preston Plord. Plord for a time was up inside the top 10, so was Trent. They've fallen out now. Kukulon trying to go for his second pole in a row if he can advance to the next round. Right now, Vance Caldwell in the 16 is the one on pins and needles trying to hang on to that final 10th position. See if he's still on track or not. Yes, he is. Top of the board, Brady Burkhart, 55 rather, 781. And Caldwell is out. Lamount now is on the bubble spot of 10th place, as Philip Goldberg also jumped up into the top 3, 3rd place for him. 10 seconds on the clock. Laurent Lamount trying to make it into the second round of qualifying by the skin of his teeth. There he is in this group, still scored in 10th place. Will he be able to hang on to the spot? I think we still have some cooldown here. Drivers with an opportunity to make their way in. Lamount just improved his lap time, up to third. That puts Kukulon on the bubble spot. 42, I think, might have come to pit road. So if he did, that is not going to be good for him if somebody beats his lap time. He's not going to have time to be able to get back out there and say something about it. That was Kukulon right there on pit road. And he dropped to 12th. Someone just moved in. Ashlyn Boyd now on the bubble spot in the 54. He just got knocked out, did Sebastian Kukulon. Who moved in? Jose Mills did. Taylor did. Kukulon coming back out, but I think it's too little too late for him. Trying to find the 54 of Ashlyn Boyd. There he is. Still in 10th place. And I think we just might have hit the mark there where lap times are no longer being counted. So I think Ashlyn Boyd is just barely going to be making it into the next round of qualifying. Boyd, who qualified on the pole back at the second race of the season at Armory Digital. And how about the Toyotas? Got 3 of them that are going to make it into the second round. Burkhart, Goldberg, both top of the leaderboard, and Ashlyn Boyd right now there in that 10th position, and the session is complete. So we know the 10 drivers that will move on. A lot of jostling for position in the closing stages of that one, as it'll be Brady Burkhart, the points leader, Philip Goldberg, Kyle Matthews, Joshua Sakuli, Vance Caldwell, Jessica Shelton, Laurent Lamount, Jose Mills, last week's winner, Zachary Taylor, and Ashlyn Boyd that will be battling it out for the pole position. And if my memory is correct, I believe 2 of them are former pole sitters from this season. Boyd, I already mentioned, back at Armory. And I know Laurent Lamount is a former pole sitter. I want to say it was at M&M's, and indeed it was. So we'll have to see if we are indeed, for the first time this season in either division, going to get our first 2-time pole sitter. The odds not in their favor, but we've got a couple of former winners as well that want to get their first pole of the season. Caldwell, Shelton, and Burkhart, as well as Jose Mills. So don't go anywhere. Round 2 of qualifying coming up right after this as we show you what the rest of your starting lineup for tomorrow night's race is going to be. Let's find out who's going to get the pole position here at the Pepsi Superspeedway. So as we get ready here for the second round of qualifying, of course, as we've basically seen in most of our round 2s, whether it be Division 1 qualifying or Division 2, we're going to have to see if anyone decides to come off pit road with anybody else. We do have an opportunity here for teammates to be able to work together, as both Kyle Matthews and Jessica Shelton managed to make it into this second round. And we've also got some manufacturer alliances that maybe could take place here as Shelton leaves pit road. We've got some Toyotas that make it in here. Fastest 2 cars on track in round 1 were Toyotas, Brady Burkhart and Philip Goldberg, and you've also got Ashlyn Boyd making it into this round as well. So as Shelton gets up to speed and gets ready to come around to begin her first timed lap, let's take a look and see where everybody that transferred here into this second round of qualifying comes into this race via the point standings. Of course, we mentioned Brady Burkhart, fastest in round 1, comes in as the points leader, so you got to think starting on the pole would be a huge confidence booster for the 2-time winner. Vance Caldwell comes into this race 4th in points, so a well-needed run for him as he tries to keep himself up there in the standings after his win back at Madrid. Laurent Lamount currently is 7th in the points coming into this race. Ashlyn Boyd 13th, Jessica Shelton in 14th. Jose Mills, after his win last week at Pensacola, is now 16th in the standings coming into this one. Philip Goldberg had a poor performance last week at Coca-Cola, dropped 11 spots to 20th. Zachary Taylor gained 8 spots last week. He's up to 26th. And Kyle Matthews and Joshua Sakuli, those two could really benefit from a good starting position here today because they come into this race, Matthews 38th and Sakuli in 39th. As a matter of fact, Kyle Matthews, 8 starts, still looking for his first top 10 finish of the season. I'm looking here, and there are 4 drivers that have yet to get a top 10 yet this season in the first 8 races of the year. They include Jake Rogers, Roger Ray, Kyle Matthews, and Jonathan Zorlin. Well, I'm not expecting to see 55-second lap times in this one. I think we'll be lucky if we see lap times in the 56s. I'm expecting maybe low 47s unless some drivers can get themselves lined up for some draft laps, as Shelton 58.861 for her first lap. She might get the draft off Zachary Taylor, who she is closing in on. Taylor just now taking the green to start his first timed lap. Let's see if anyone has come off pit road and is going to be able to work together in a drafting duo here. Jose Mills, last week's winner, by himself. Sekulis by himself. Same for Goldberg. Same for Boyd. Matthews by himself. Lamount by himself. Caldwell, Burkhart, Taylor, Shelton. They're all actually really spaced out. Pretty good margin from each other. I think it's going to come down to single car speed really in this qualifying session. That's actually a shocker. Usually we have one or two car tandems, but I think we may not really get that many draft laps here. I mean, the closest drivers right now, you see right there, Shelton and Taylor, but I don't know if Shelton's close enough to the 85 to get a draft off of him. 58.022 for Shelton. I wish we could get a visual to see if indeed she is closing in on that 85 or not. I can't tell if she's close enough to get any draft. If she is, that's helping her just the least little bit to be able to top these other guys who are running 58.4s. And time is running out. I think this is basically the lap, make it or break it, because there's only about 55 or 45 seconds remaining here in this session. It looks like there's maybe 8-9 car lengths between Shelton and Taylor. I don't know what that counts for in intervals. Normally, if you're somewhere within 7 to 8 tenths of a second between you and the car in front of you, you're able to get a little bit of a draft on the straightaways, so Shelton might be getting a little taste of draft from the John Deere Chevrolet. But she is, right now, second fastest on the charts, and now jumps back up top of the leaderboard, 57.717. The car that challenged her was Laurent Lamount in the 36, who ran a 58.005 by himself. We'll have to see if that lap time improves this time or not. I think he's going to only have the opportunity to complete this lap if he does not beat Shelton's 57.717. I think Shelton's going to get the pole position, which would make her second driver to have a win and a pole position. William Brock was the first one to do that back in Division 2 at Pensacola. 57.987 for Lamount. That's not going to cut it. Caldwell, 57.951. He's up to second place. Burkhart, 58.185. That only brings him up to seventh. And there's your answer right there. Shelton reeled in Taylor. And they are going to count this lap. 57.201. Way out of reach of the other driver. Shelton is definitely going to take the pole position for tomorrow night's race here at Pepsi Super Speedway. So there's your answer. Was she in the draft of the 85? Absolutely. Closest driver to her is going to be Caldwell with a 9.51, 7/10 difference. And Zachary Taylor, he got some benefit of having the two behind him. He's going to, looks like, start this race in third place. Actually, he and Lamount tied with 9.84s. But they're giving it to Taylor over Lamount. So Taylor will start inside of row 2, and Lamount will start on the outside of the second row. So there it is. Jessica Shelton becomes the second driver in Skittles Superspeedway Series history to have a win and a pole position. She will start alongside of Vance Caldwell, so a couple of former winners will start on the front row. This is Shelton's first pole of the season as well, so we are now 9 for 9 in different drivers getting the pole position here in Division 1. Zachary Taylor, Laurent Lamount will line up row 2. Ashlyn Boyd, who was just barely able to make it in to the second round, will start in the top 5 alongside of Kyle Matthews. Last week's winner, Jose Mills, 7th. Two-time winner, Brady Burkhart, 8th. Philip Goldberg, who was second fastest in round 1, will start 9th. and Joshua Sakuli will complete the top 10 for the starting lineup for tomorrow night's race number 9 here at the Pepsi Super Speedway. Hope you guys enjoyed this qualifying session. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to become part of the crew today. We got a little bit later Division 2 drivers to take to this racetrack for their qualifying session to set their starting lineup tomorrow night. It is the Division 1 race here from Pepsi Super Speedway, Sunday night Division 2, as we get ever closer towards the end of the regular season and closer to finding out who are going to be the 8 representatives from Division 1, the 8 representatives from Division 2, to battle it out in the 16-driver, 10-race chase for the championship. Till the next qualifying session later on tonight, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.